Now to Robert Maginnis. He is a senior Pentagon strategist and the author of a number of books on national security and foreign policy. He joins me live from Woodbridge, Virginia. Colonel, these Russian troops have been amassed along Ukraine's border for weeks now. What are the logistical challenges of keeping thousands of troops at the border? How long can Russia realistically keep them there?
Well, it is difficult if they have facilities and motor parks for their tanks. However, many of them have moved forward to assault positions, assembly areas, and to sustain them in those locations becomes more of a task because you really have to have trucks and plenty of food, well forward, plenty of fuel, and of course the ammunition. So I would imagine that if they don't do something in the relatively near future, then they'll have to begin to move some of the forces back just to maintain them. So it is a real challenge.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, is the window for an imminent Russian invasion closing? And how much does the weather and geography, things like the full moon and ground conditions factor into the timing of an invasion?
Yeah, I just looked at the weather in Kiev. And it appears as if it's going to be rainy. It certainly is today, and it will be on and off for the next few days. The temperature is above freezing, which is very problematic for armored units that want to quickly move across the flat areas to their east between the Russian border and Kiev. So that's going to slow them down. It's also going to slow down any aerial, either drone or fighters, Su-35s, Su-25s from coming in and supporting a ground assault. So that will be a factor. The moon won't really matter given the overcast, but they have NVGs, night vision goggles. They have other equipment clearly that they can move at night. So we'll have to wait and see.
There's a report that the Ukrainian military intelligence is saying the Russian buildup isn't sufficient for a full-scale invasion. The estimates put the number of Russian forces at some 150,000 encircling Ukraine and Belarus along the Ukraine border. To me, that sounds like a lot, but what would preparations for a full-scale invasion possibly look like?
Well, it depends upon the objective of the commander. Clearly, if they want to follow, and I believe there are at least 9 logical routes of ingress into Ukraine from Belarus and from Russia, they could just select a few of those, punch it with helicopters, attack helicopters that are well forward, with tanks that are well forward. And, as long as they have good arteries of egress, they'll be able to be in Kiev in a couple of days. These are things that most civilians don't deal with, but I've maneuvered armored units and understand if you do good planning, you can accomplish things very rapidly.
The U.S. State Department is warning that Russian officials are planting stories in the media aimed at influencing public opinion in the event of an invasion, such as saying that they're pulling troops back from the border when the U.S. and NATO say there's actually no evidence of that, and talking about things like a genocide taking place in eastern Ukraine. So are we seeing a propaganda campaign by Russia ahead of an invasion?
Well, of course, you always get hybrid operations, psychological operations, planning of ideas that such as genocide in the Donbass area, and of course the cyber attacks that went after the Defense Ministry, I believe, yesterday. So all of these things are very predictable. We saw in the Republic of Georgia, we saw it in 2014 before they went and took Crimea, and we've seen them play with some of these hybrid tactics against the Baltic countries, against Poland, and so forth. So, yes, this is very predictable.
All right, Robert Maginnis joining us from Woodbridge, Virginia. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.